and then disappeared.
They've always been with us. In other times, they bore other names. In our time, they're called the Immortals. And now they've come here to the Bridge Studios in Burnaby and the set of the new TV action adventure, Highlander the Series. Good evening and welcome to Red's Classic Theater. Highlander the Series is based on two successful cult films starring Christopher Lambert and Sean Connery. And tonight we'll take a look behind the scenes of this new show, which premieres right here on Television 12 this Friday night at 8. And following our movie tonight, a special 5-minute preview of Highlander the Series. Our movie this week is the 1953 production, The Wild One, starring Marlon Brando and Lee Marvin. And it's based on real-life events. The film eventually became a blueprint for many generation-gap dramas to come, as well as dozens of biker movies. And now here's Act 1 of The Wild One, starring Marlon Brando. This week, Red's Classic Theater is visiting the set of the new television show, Highlander the Series, being filmed at the Bridge Studios in Burnaby. In the theatrical releases, the Highlander was played by actor Christopher Lambert, and it was his wish that his character, Connor MacLeod, be kept for films. And so a new Highlander named Duncan MacLeod was created for the television series and is played by actor Adrian Paul. Now, Adrian has appeared on film in White Nights and Last Rites, and on television in such series as The Colbys, War of the Worlds, Murder, She Wrote, and Beauty and the Beast. Highlander the Series has been filming here at the Bridge and in Greater Vancouver since June, and a total of 22 episodes will be shot. The first 13 here in Burnaby, and then the cast and crew will move to France to shoot the 9 remaining shows. And we'll be back from the set of Highlander the Series in just a moment. One interesting aspect of Highlander the Series is the emphasis on medieval weapons and swords. To get the most realistic look for the series, Swordmaster Bob Anderson, who taught Christopher Lambert and Sean Connery for the movies, has been recruited to lend his skill to the production. Of his newest pupil, Adrian Paul, Anderson calls him the best student of his entire film career. Highlander the Series premieres on Television 12 Friday night at 8. And for fans of the Highlander movies, Christopher Lambert returns in his role as Connor MacLeod in Highlander 3, The Magician. It'll be shown in theaters this next summer. And now let's return to The Wild One. On the set of Highlander the Series at the Bridge Studios in Burnaby, the leading man, Adrian Paul, who plays the role of the Highlander. How would you describe the Highlander as a character?
He's a leader. He's a good man who is forced into a series of situations that he can't get out of. He doesn't like killing, but he has to do it. He's a man that has been through centuries of killing and time and pain and death. And he's now a figure I think the world needs a lot of.
Line producer Brent Claxon also gave us his thoughts about the series.
The executive producer, Bill Panzer, also did the features, and we're trying to make sure that the theme of the feature and the kind of standards that were there at the feature are kept in the series. And certainly we don't have the same time and the same money that they did, but working within the time and the money that we have, we're trying to be very careful to make sure that this is a special show, and we're hoping that the audience will think it's a special show.
We're going to launch it here very soon on KVUS. We'll be back with more in just a moment. Hope you're enjoying Marlon Brando's performance of The Wild One on Red's Classic Theater as we visit the set of the new television show, Highlander the Series. At first, Marlon Brando accepted his role in The Wild One with great enthusiasm. But later he complained when he found audiences assumed he was the same person off camera as the boorish punk he played in the movie. Another annoyance for Brando was the script, which he asked to be rewritten several times. Even so, he wound up improvising much of his dialogue. One key scene between Brando and Mary Murphy in the cafe was actually improvised in one take. She just responded to his ad-libs with whatever crossed her mind. Later, Murphy confessed to having a huge crush on her leading man. And even though he knew the film would be shot on a studio lot, Marlon Brando prepared for his role as the Wild One. For a while, he joined a motorcycle gang, and he visited Hollister, California, where the events for this motion picture actually took place. And before we get back to The Wild One with Marlon Brando, last week I told you that this week we'd be giving away tickets to the premiere showing of Ridley Scott's new movie, 1492, Conquest of Paradise. On our next break, be ready. But right now, we're ready to get back to The Wild One, starring Marlon Brando. We're on the set of Highlander the series here at the Bridge Studios in Burnaby, and it's time to give away some passes, as we promised. Passes to the premiere of Ridley Scott's new film from Paramount, 1492, Conquest of Paradise. Now, if you'd like a pair of tickets to the premiere, call us right now at 681-1212. That's 681-1212. We have a limited supply of passes, so call right away. That's 681-1212. And while you're calling, let me tell you about what we have next week. Something special. A blue topaz worth $1,500. We're going to be giving it away. And this is courtesy of Fawcett Gems in Edmonton and in Chemainus. Now, I haven't seen it, but I understand it's a special Maltese cross pattern. And this is to commemorate Christopher Columbus's voyage. And now to the mailbag. A former neighbor of mine, Robert Brown, called in. He wanted to see Up in Arms starring Danny Kaye. And Deborah McCauley from Vancouver would like to see The Hanging Tree starring Gary Cooper. Next week on Red's Classic Theater, Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn star in the 1949 comedy Adam's Rib. Right now, let's get back to tonight's movie, The Wild One. Hope you're enjoying The Wild One on Red's Classic Theater as we come to you from the set of Highlander the series. For all his enthusiasm at the beginning of the making of The Wild One, Marlon Brando's enthusiasm waned as the picture neared completion. He was disappointed at the way Hollywood censors had cut out most of the social commentary, which he felt important. And relations between Brando and Lee Marvin were unfriendly on the set. As a matter of fact, they started calling each other names. Marlo Brandy was Marvin's name for Brando. Brando responded by calling Marvin Lee Moron. Even after the picture was released, Brando disliked the imitations of his style that came from actors such as James Dean and Montgomery Clift. Dean especially was so impressed with Brando's performance that he began calling him at all hours to discuss acting techniques. Eventually, Marlon Brando introduced James Dean to a psychiatrist, hoping that he would overcome his hero worship. And now let's return to The Wild One. From the set of Highlander the series, it's time for our weekly movie trivia quiz. As you can see behind me, the crew are setting up for another scene. Our question this week is, what famous 50s television star was a close personal friend of Marlon Brando's? As a matter of fact, in the early years, they shared an apartment in New York. We'll have the answer in just a moment. Here's the answer to our movie trivia quiz. The 50s television star who was a close personal friend of Marlon Brando's was Wally Cox, who played Mr. Peepers on television. They'd grown up together in Evanston, Illinois, and even attended elementary school together. And now let's return to The Wild One. And from the set of Highlander the series, it's time to wrap up Red's Classic Theater for this week. Hope you enjoyed The Wild One, starring Marlon Brando and Lee Marvin. And a special thanks to Vancouver Magazine for selecting Red's Classic Theater as one of the nice things about Vancouver. Now be sure to join us next week for Adam's Rib, starring Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn. In the meantime, if there's a motion picture you'd like to see or the suggestion of a location, write to Red Robinson, Television 12 in Vancouver. And our special thanks to the producers of Highlander the series for inviting us out here to Bridge Studios. You can see the premiere here on Television 12 Friday night at 8 p.m. And following this program, a sneak preview of Highlander the series. Be sure to stay tuned. Join us next week on Red's Classic Theater for Adam's Rib with Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn. Until then, thanks for being with us, and good night, everybody.